I'd like to welcome those that are viewing this at home or in groups to this video course. I'm speaking in front of an audience of about 150 or so in Montreal, being simultaneously translated. We have a good number of educators in the audience, as well as professionals who work with adolescents both inside the school system and outside the school system. A good number of parents here of teenagers, as well as parents of preteens. Welcome to those that are viewing it as a video course, and it's good to be here in Montreal with you people once again. You have a great sense of making me feel at home, so I come back. And I'm looking forward to this. It's an 8-session course, each one about an hour or so in length. And I'll introduce the course here. But first, the title. The title of the course, as you can see, Making Sense of Adolescence. Some would consider this a little bit of wishful thinking, that it's impossible to make sense of those creatures. Some would say it's even an oxymoron. It can't be done. Yet, this is the objective of this course. We cannot really deal with a problem that we do not understand. We cannot really dance or interact with a person we don't get a sense of from the inside out. What we see is the most important determiner of what we do. We're full of questions in terms of what we do when our adolescent does this, a student does this, what do we do when they're not motivated? We're full of those questions. But the questions are actually answered more in what we see than anything else. Strategies divorced from insight are doomed to failure. And so this is an insight approach. The objective is to make sense of the adolescent from inside out. They're all unique, of course, but there are some common dynamics that are involved, and that's what we're going to look at through this course. And I would suggest that you have 1 or 2 adolescents in mind yourself. Pick on a couple of adolescents and try and walk through this course with me to see if you can shed light in terms of it. What, again, the objective is, if you go away from this course with a sense of understanding these adolescents from inside out, it will make a difference in your interaction, in the way you approach them. And you're also welcome, of course, to use this course to make sense of your own adolescence, since everybody has been one time or another. So you're absolutely welcome to do that as well. The approach that I'm going to take is the approach of a theorist, of synthesis and distillation. Research gives us the dots, but we have to join the dots to make meaning of it. The science of adolescence actually began in 1905 with a 2-volume publication of Stanley Hall. And it was considered to be a landmark publication beginning this study of adolescence. It's over 100 years old now, and generally I'd like at least a 2-term university course to be able to do this, but we'll capture the essence of this in the 8 hours that we have together. What my job is to join these dots and hopefully provide for you the picture that emerges from this, that it makes sense. It's so easy with adolescents to trip all over them. It's so easy to lose the forest for the trees, to not get the big picture. And so what I'll attempt to do is to be able to give a picture that helps make sense of these dynamics from inside out. My own experience in terms of adolescence, I started off with working with delinquents for about the first 6 years of my professional career, with the most troubled of adolescents, trouble behaving, trouble learning, trouble fitting into society, trouble realizing their potential as human beings. I've also had the opportunity over 35 years of working with adolescents to work with some of the most delightful adolescents as a coach to them in coming to their own personhood, in realizing their own potential as individuals. Of course, I have been an adolescent as well. I have 5 children, 4 who are on the other side, and 1 who is in the middle. The last one at home, Braden, he's 15 years of age, and so I am right in the midst of it yet again. And so when I was coming and preparing for this course, I had fresh experience, even yesterday, in terms of these dynamics. So it helps keep me out of the ivory tower. The application of this course, my hope is that in terms of application, and that's certainly the design of this course, that you would be able to use this material as a teacher, as an administrator, as a professional, as a parent, as a grandparent, and even in your personal life. Many of our own difficulties as adults, as I'll go to and talk about in a bit, actually have their origins in our own adolescence. And so you can use this, and hopefully you can use this and apply this material from a number of different angles and a number of different venues. The first session is called, I've labeled it Crossing the Bridge, for reasons that will become very obvious as soon as we get into the material. It starts with an overview, adolescence in perspective, trying to get the big picture, of course. This is absolutely essential. Before we go into the details, of which we will do plenty, we want to get the big picture. What is it all about? Some of the questions we'll be answering in this session or discussing in this session. It will be divided into 2 parts. First of all, as I mentioned, adolescence in perspective, what adolescence is all about, why adolescence is a time of turbulence and confusion, and the brain often reflects that, why we have no instincts to deal with adolescence. And this is very, very important to understand why it is that we tend to trip over adolescents more than children, more than other adults. And the second part will be a change in consciousness. We're going to look at the explosion of awareness that happens around pubescence. This is one of the most fundamental changes that takes place. We'll look at 3 rites of passage that result from this change, the mistakes that adolescents make when they first become aware, how to deal with youthful idealism and critical thinking. This is completely new for the adolescent, and it creates difficulties for both us and them, and why young adolescents seem so selfish and narcissistic. And so this is what we'll attempt to do. And we'll start off with the meaning of adolescence, the root meaning of adolescence. This is, there's a lot to be understood from simply being able to understand what this really means. The root meaning of adolescence literally is growing into maturity. This is a very interesting definition. And from it has risen some myths about adolescence. Some myths about adolescence, that adolescents are about becoming their own persons, growing up, and that this is how we make sense of the behavior in adolescence. Now, the problem here is the assumption that maturation is inevitable. Whereas when we look at it, it becomes very, very apparent that what is most true of us as human beings is that we all grow older, We cannot do anything about that. But we don't all grow up. We don't all mature. And that is one of the most significant things about the human journey.